What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Sit Down Saturday. Today we're going to do a versus between the two Bumblebees, the latest offering from New Age versus the initial offering from Magic Square. A lot of people asked when I did the versus of the other two, why would you do this? It's obsolete. They got the New Age coming. Well, the answer is because this New Age was coming, and I wanted to see how the previous one stacked up against the Magic Square before we did this one. There's a method to my madness sometimes. Bear with me. I think it's going to be interesting because I have really mixed feelings about both. I think they're both great. However, in the same breath, I also think they both have a couple little quirks about them. I think that's going to be a very close game. There is this war going on between Magic Square and New Age. I know it's out there. I see it. It's interesting to see how Mech Fans Toys is kind of fallen in there. It's also interesting to see how kind of Iron Factory is kind of fallen in there, and these two other companies have sort of surged to the top, and everybody's warring over them. So in my comments, regardless of who wins, there's always a group of people angry and always a group of people that are celebrating. Let me be clear. I have no dog in this fight. To do a little cleanup from last week, somebody said, how do you keep saying that when you have all these Legends figures? I say in the beginning of all those reviews that I'm borrowing them. The only exceptions are the Tarn and those two usual suspects that I use for size comparisons. That's it. I have no interest in the Legends collection. I could tell you why in a Sit Down Saturday in the future if you'd like. Actually, I think I will regardless, but let me know if you're up for that discussion. So, even though there's this rivalry between Magic Square and New Age, and then subsequently between Magic Square and New Age fans, that perhaps we haven't seen since the likes of Sega, Genesis, and Super Nintendo, I get to watch from the sidelines because I'm not buying either. I have no interest in either. I have mixed feelings about both. I generally tend to like New Age stuff better. However, there have been New Age releases that I haven't cared for. I also tend to find Magic Square to be a bit more fun, but it's like I don't care. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I don't care. So my opinions on this stuff is always very straight down the center, very much objective in terms of my opinions. Speaking of which, we always have to cover this, but when we do these sorts of things, there's a matter of this stuff that always comes down to subjectivity. I try my best to be objective, but it's always going to shake out somehow. I can't do something like this and not have my opinion in it. I do the best I can. And I don't think we need to do much cleanup from last week. Everybody seemed to enjoy the ABS breakdown. Somebody requested to do one on transparent plastics or translucent plastics and the gold stuff, so maybe we'll do that one day. But yeah, everybody seemed to dig it, so that's cool. And the only other thing that was funny, and I posted it, like on my Instagram, like I post a lot of like bizarre stuff on my, not bizarre, but like kind of like personal stuff on my Instagram and my stories. Like I'm big on that, so like if something happens, you know, because it's just fun to do, and I pop it up there. My favorite interaction last week in the comments was somebody said, why didn't you mention Flipper in this Bumblebee discussion regarding the New Age Bumblebee? And I said, well, the answer's in the title. And then he said the title, and he said, Flipper's not mentioned anywhere in this title. And I was like, that's the answer, because it's not about Flipper, it's about this guy. And this isn't about Flipper either. Flipper, in the previous Sit Down Saturday, already lost to the Magic Square. So now, the reigning champion of the previous battle is going up against the New Age. The New Age. That's why we did it the way we did it. And we have another versus coming soon, too. I just have to work out the logistics of it. But with that being said, let's get ready to rumble, and we'll start with accessories.
Accessory-wise, the New Age comes with a lot, but it also has two different robots that it's supplying accessories for. However, just for Bumblebee, it does come with the pistol, and it comes with the jetpack, which is more interesting to me than just rubber tires and the pistol that the Magic Square comes with. So while numerically they're the same, I think New Age gets the edge here.
Moving on to build and materials, we are kind of dealing with the similar stuff that we always deal with these two companies. This is still, it's a little bit better maybe, this plastic, but it doesn't feel quite as good as their Shockwave or their Stunicons. So this is kind of that. Now we do have pins and ball joints mostly. And this little fella, we have pins and ball joints, but because of all of this weight and heft down here in the bottom feet, it ends up making these little itty bitty ball pegs there in the waist kind of like null and void, like because they're so fiddly and spindly. So this is what we're going to do here. For the build, we're going to tie them out because this is a, I think for the build, we're going to have to give it to Magic Square, honestly. And then I think for materials, we'll give it to New Age. And that will tie them out for the categories. I think that's the fairest way to do it. Moving on to Sculpt and Paint. So deco-wise, the New Age, I think, just from the front view, takes it. It's going to take it throughout the whole thing, right? Sculpt-wise, though, the Magic Square might have them. It looks a bit more put together. It looks a bit more like a robot, whereas the New Age kind of looks like a pile of pieces in a lot of ways. The yellow on the Magic Square looks terrible next to the New Age, but the New Age isn't without its issues either. I think this is going to be interesting to go through them, because while I think a lot of things about the New Age kind of stand out at first look, when you get down to the nitty-gritty, I'm not sure how it's going to shake out for them. For the head sculpts, sculpt work, I'm going to tie them out. I think that the proportions on the New Age actually work better, but I like the expression on the Magic Square. I think that it presents itself better. The yellow looks better on the New Age in general due to the paint and just choice of finished plastic. So they're going to take that, but I'm going to tie them out sculpt-wise from the front. From the side, the New Age needs to just take both categories. It just does a better job. The proportions look better. It looks like a full head rather than a smush face for somebody that was there at a stunt double, or as a stunt double rather, for Home Alone when the iron fell on their face. We just have to kind of be honest with ourselves here. Now for the chest, torso area, the Magic Square just looks more complete. It looks fuller. It looks more purposeful. It's cleaner, etc. So we have to give it there to Magic Square for sculpt. Paint wise, the New Age just looks better deco wise. So it's kind of going to be beating a dead horse. Like, they're taking the paint category. Do you know what I mean? Now, from the side, neither of them look like a Leonardo da Vinci painting. However, maybe more so like a Picasso. But we still, I think, objectively have to give it to Magic Square here in terms of the cleanliness and well put together, purposeful sculpt. For the arms, once again, they both had the sculpted rivets on the bicep. However, Magic Square has the painted yellow to complete the look. New Age doesn't need it because they used the plastics. The Magic Square technically has more paint, and the Magic Square is better proportioned, whereas the arms on the New Age look a bit stubby. And the side of the arm, I think we have to give it to New Age as well for sculpt, because there's a little bit of extra detail there in the forearm, which does make it look a bit more interesting, but it's pretty negligible. It's not a big deal between the two here. Looking at the pelvis and hips area, I think that the hips or upper thighs, upper legs in general, are kind of a wash. Looking at them from the front, it's kind of cool how the New Age incorporated the engineering to make it look like the sculpt design, whereas the Magic Square just puts the sculpt on the design. I think sculpt-wise, it still has to go to Magic Square. However, once again, deco is looking better for New Age in general. And from the side, I think once again, the Magic Square just looks more complete. It looks more put together. It looks more like a proper thing rather than something that's trying to fit itself into the mold of a thing. Now, the legs are really where Magic Square kind of obliterates the New Age sculpt-wise. However, if we're being objective, I think that the feet from the front of the New Age do look better and more interesting and more like a proper car, whereas the sculpt on the Magic Square is a bit duller. We all know that the feet here are the problem with the New Age aesthetically. We know this to be true, but just trying to be completely objective and looking at only the front view, I think we have to admit that the front bumper looks better on the New Age with the hood lining. Even where the headlights are, it looks more, I keep saying this term over and over again, but it looks more purposeful. Now, from the side, it's pretty much lights out, Tony. The Magic Square takes it. I mean, it's as if Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali, Rock Marciano, Oscar De La Hoya, Pacquiao, all of their spirits uplifted, funneled themselves deep into the Magic Square casting, and even pulled in Bald Bull from Mike Tyson's Punch-Out and uppercutted the New Age legs up into the stratosphere. There's no contest here. It's a clear win. And there they are from the back, and once again, the Magic Square looks better put together. Also, look at like all the emptiness in the bottom of the pelvis. Now, you don't display your figures from the back, right? I get it. I'm an advocate of that kind of thought. But like, proportionately, their arms end at the same space, and the Magic Square is significantly taller. You know, like, I think we gotta be honest about this one. The Magic Square might be a better overall robot.
So they tie at the thighs, so to speak, because they're pretty much identical and don't really show any difference between the two. The lower legs, they also surprisingly tie because the New Age looks better from the front, but the Magic Square looks better from the side. New Age head looks better, so to speak, and Magic Square takes everything else because it's just a cleaner, more polished, put together thing in that regard. However, in the paint category, New Age just takes it, period. Just one big check for New Age there. So technically, one check to Magic Square for sculpt, one check to New Age for paint, tying out the category overall.
All right, let's go through articulation. So the head for the New Age is on a ball peg. You can get the ball peg all the way up, though.
and you can get the swivel. That's pretty much what you're limited to. The Magic Square is actually just on a peg, so all you get is the swivel. The New Age shoulders are on a pinned hinge that come out to a ball peg that gets you all the way up, pretty much all the way around, and the slightest bit of butterfly on that ball peg. The Magic Square gets you up to 90 degrees. It gets you 360 around, and a minor little butterfly on that ball peg. Bicep swivel at the elbow, bicep swivel at a cut joint at the shoulder. Single hinged elbow that gets you slightly more than 90 degrees. Single hinged elbow that gets you slightly more than 90 degrees. Wrist is on a ball peg that gets you a swivel and hinge in out. Wrist is on a ball peg that gets you a swivel and hinge in out. Not as much of a hinge, but it's still there. Waist swivel and ab crunch forward to 90 degrees. Waist swivel, no ab crunch forward nor back. T-jointed ball joints for hips that get you out to 90 degrees and front and back to 90 degrees. T-jointed ball joints for hips that get you out to 90 degrees, front and back to 90 degrees. Thigh swivel, thigh swivel. Very limited knee bend with the normal kind of transformation. If you move that out of the way, you get 90 degrees. Double jointed knee that gets you the full run. Ankle tilt up, ankle tilt down with a rocker. No ankle tilt up nor down, but you get a rocker. And welcome to a slaughterhouse. Magic Square takes the knees for the double bend, and New Age takes everything else. If I wanted to get technical, I could tie them out for ankles because of the range of the rocker of Magic Square, but it just seems like New Age did such a great job with the articulation, you might as well give them the point for that too. They tie at the bicep, which is easy. The thighs, which I don't even remember if I showed, which is easy. The hips, both use T-jointed ball joints, get the same range. Hands have nothing, and then the wrist have the same. And then New Age takes everything else. Just slaughterhouse.com.
Now, neither of them quite scale properly for their own lines. However, what is interesting is the Magic Square scaling actually works better and more appropriately for the New Age than the other way around. It actually works better for the New Age than the New Age does for the New Age, if that makes sense. So if you have a Magic Square collection and you're really funny about scale and you really want your Bumblebee to be appropriate, it's obviously, it's more appropriate to pick up the New Age for the Magic Square scaling. Just interesting stuff like this.
Transformation-wise, I think they both have issues, but I think overall they're both pretty smooth and intuitive and kind of genius in their own way. However, with the Magic Square being as though it's that nylon material, it does have a hard time kind of getting stuck in and staying stuck in and having that sort of rigidity to sort of lock itself into place. Whereas with the New Age, the problem that you run into more often is with the lower legs and kind of moving things around easily because of the amount of complexity that they took to put into the amount of transformation kind of engineering involved in it. So because it's impressive, it also makes it somewhat problematic. However, in the same breath, it's what makes the feet look terrible in robot mode. So it's like, I don't know. It's tough. It's a tough call between the two. With alt mode, I think that they're both okay, but I have to give it to Magic Square. It just looks like a cleaner, once again, more purposeful looking vehicle. It's less panely, it's less broken up, it's smoother, it's just a better looking vehicle.
All right, which one do you think looks better?
This one.
This one? And then mess with them a bit, move their arms, their legs, or
This one has smoother movement.
the other one?
Yeah. But this one doesn't. This one doesn't feel bad either.
Agreed.
It's like loose enough, but it's also not loose enough to make you feel like it's gonna fall off. But it feels a little fragile. Is this third party?
So if you had to go with one, which one would you go with for the feel?
Feeling wise, this one.
This one? Okay.
All right, which one of these looks better?
I think this one.
This little guy? Okay, and then hold them both, move them around a little bit. See how they... Which one do you think feels better?
That one.
This one? Okay.
I said, like she was holding him, I said, move him around. Like, to move the joints around. And she went.
All right, which one do you think looks better?
This one.
This one here? Okay. And move them around?
This one feels good.
Okay, so you think that this one feels better?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they end up tying in gimmicks because they don't really have any hardware, because they don't really have any. They both use pins, so if they were to do anything, they would tie there anyway. Scale, because neither of them are quite right. Transformation, because they're both pretty interesting and enjoyable, but both have a couple questionable areas. And I have to tie out the price because I just don't know how else to do it. The Magic Square one's about $50. The New Age one is $75, but you get 2 bots. However, with the New Age one, it forces those that already bought Flipper to have to buy another Bumblebee Bumblebee in order to get their cliff jumper. So that's kind of a pain in the balls too. So I couldn't give anybody a point here. I just have to tie them out. New Age takes it for accessories because although they have the same amount, I think they're better. And when I mean same amount, I mean for that specific character. They take it for materials because it's just better. However, it'll be interesting to see Magic Square in the future because they're heading to kind of edge them out there, or at least tie them up. And that's kind of a category that New Age can sort of bet on every time. New Age takes Articulation by a landslide, and it also takes the paint because the deco is just better. Magic Square takes the build, which is interesting, the sculpt, which is very important, the alt mode, but I can see how somebody would tie that out too. So if you feel differently, I get it. And the presence because dim the rules. And obviously it takes G1 accuracy, which brings us to a total score of 5-4 Magic Square. Very close game, but Magic Square edged them out.
Very close game and not a whole lot of tied categories. We usually have, I feel like, more tied categories at the end, but very close game. And I also feel like if it's ever close like this in the past, it's like 4-3 or 2-3 or, 4-5 is there's a lot of points on the board. So it was fun to do. It was fun to see. And it kind of lines up with how I feel about it. I think that they're both kind of good. I think that they both have some weaknesses. If I had to choose one, I probably would choose the Magic Square, but only because the New Age one is a bit fiddly. And that's kind of how I feel about that. And other than that, I don't think there's much more to talk about. Listen to Nerve Rage. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.